8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Indrani Senanayake. The headlines. The Australian High Commissioner commends Sri Lanka's vaccination program. Over 24 million have already been vaccinated against COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. A third dose of the vaccine will be given to Sri Lankan workers who will be travelling to Kuwait for employment. The Geological Survey Department and the Mines Bureau say Sri Lanka has not taken any measures to export sand. In foreign news, a report reveals a record number of environmental activists were murdered around the world in 2020. The Australian High Commissioner David Holly says fake and fabricated news circulated on the topic of the vaccination drive and COVID controlling efforts by the Sri Lankan government make limitations for a successful vaccination drive almost impossible. It is a common practice all over the world, even in Australia, he said. The High Commission added that these illegal media practices make it difficult for the people who are actively engaged in the COVID controlling efforts in any country. The High Commissioner made these remarks at a meeting with the Health Minister Kehelia Rambukwella at the Health Ministry today. He also commended the vaccination drive and COVID controlling measures taken by the Sri Lankan government. The Australian government has already provided 11 million Australian dollars to the Health Ministry in this regard. Australia and Sri Lanka commemorate 70 years of diplomatic relations, and the Australian High Commissioner has presented a special souvenir to the Health Minister to mark the event. The Health Minister says that over 24 million people have been vaccinated against COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. Over 1 million people have been vaccinated with both doses. The government has already received over 27.4 million COVID vaccination doses. Among these, about 7 million doses have been received as donations. Another 4 million doses will be received next month. The Health Ministry revealed that the government has spent about 67 billion rupees for the vaccination program in the country. The Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau says steps will be taken to provide another vaccine dose as a third dose for Sri Lankan workers who will be travelling to Kuwait for employment. The Kuwaiti government has approved only Pfizer, Moderna, Covishield and Johnson & Johnson J&J vaccines. Deputy General Manager of the Bureau, Mangala Randenia, said. He added, this issue has been brought to the attention of the Health Services Director General. Accordingly, the Sri Lankan workers who have already received both the doses and intend to go to work in Kuwait will be provided with the Pfizer vaccine as the third dose. The Foreign Employment Bureau also requested the people who intend to leave for foreign employment to adhere to all the prescribed health procedures provided for them as a mandate issue. It also said that the people who are waiting to go abroad for employment should leave the country only 14 days after receiving the second dose of the vaccine. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau says Sri Lanka has not taken any measures to export sand to the Maldives or any other country. Director General of the Bureau, D.S. De Silva, says the Bureau has no authority to issue a license to export sand from the island. However, if the cabinet approval has been given, the Bureau can act accordingly. Thus, the Bureau has recently taken measures to export small amounts of sand to a Sri Lankan company operating in the Maldives at a higher rate. The Bureau has also taken steps to annihilate the sand mafia and the unlicensed sand smuggling. It has also revealed that some mafia gangs sell low-quality sand by mixing land sand and sea sand, claiming it to be pure sand from the Mahaveli River, the Bureau revealed. The Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana has submitted the name of Jayantha Katagoda to the Elections Commissioner to be appointed as a National List MP. SLPP General Secretary MP Sagara Karyavasam has handed over the relevant document to the Commissioner this afternoon. Earlier today, parliamentarian Ajit Niwad Cabral had handed over his letter of resignation to the Secretary General of the Sri Lanka Parliament. Accordingly, the Secretary General of Parliament has taken steps to inform the Chairman of the Election Commission in writing that a vacancy has been created given the resignation of parliamentarian Ajit Niwad Cabral. Next, we take a look at the main news story.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Post offices and all sub-post offices will be opened for 4 days per week during the quarantine curfew period. Postmaster General Ranjit Aryatna says the Postal Department has decided to continue with its operations 6 days per week as was done earlier. However, due to the restrictions faced by the department, it was not able to function with its operation as scheduled. The Postmaster General said all post offices will be opened on the 17th and 18th of this month for the benefit of pensioners and other government grant recipients. However, all post offices will be closed on Wednesday and Thursday from this week, the Postmaster General added. That was the main news story. Watchlight follows.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
It is reported that various types of invasive fish species have been released into natural waterways in different parts of the country. Environmentalists say it causes a threat to the endemic species in Sri Lanka and has been in practice for more than a decade. The Ministry of Environment says that invasive fish species are still being smuggled into the country despite the existence of government-imposed bans to control exotic fauna and flora being brought into the island. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news will follow.
World News.
First, the headlines. A report reveals a record number of the environmental activists were murdered around the world in 2020. A BBC Panorama investigation says one of Britain's biggest companies had paid a bribe to Robert Mugabe. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases requests all Americans to get vaccinated without delay. The report from Global Witness said 227 environmental activists were killed around the world in 2020, the highest number recorded for a second consecutive year. Almost a third of the murders were reportedly linked to resource exploitation, logging, mining, large-scale agribusinesses, hydroelectric dams, and other infrastructure. The report called the victims environmental defenders killed for protecting natural resources that needed to be preserved, including forests, water supplies, and oceans. Since the Paris Agreement on climate change was signed in 2015, the organization says, on average, 4 activists have been killed each week. A BBC Panorama investigation has found evidence that suggests one of Britain's biggest companies paid a bribe to the former Zimbabwean leader Robert Mugabe. Documents show British American Tobacco BAT was involved in negotiations to pay between $300,000 and $500,000 to Mugabe's ZANU-PF party in 2013. The documents also reveal BAT was paying bribes in South Africa and using illegal surveillance to damage rivals. BAT says it is committed to the highest standards of corporate conduct. President Mugabe's 37-year-old rule was secured through election marred by allegations of fraud and violence. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says millions of Americans still need to get vaccinated to slow or stop the spread of COVID-19 and getting the pandemic under control could take many, many more vaccine mandates. Fauci said, if more people aren't persuaded to get vaccinated by messaging from health officials and trusted political messengers, additional mandates from schools and businesses may be necessary. The combination of the highly contagious Delta variant and the vaccine holdouts has put the United States in a very difficult period of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Fauci said. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. A report reveals a record number of environmental activists were murdered around the world in 2020. A BBC Panorama investigation says one of Britain's biggest companies had paid a bribe to Robert Mugabe. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases requests all Americans to get vaccinated without delay. That ends this bulletin of world news. Development news follows. The Minister of Finance, Basil Rajapaksa, has instructed officials to provide speedy solutions for the people who intend to go for overseas employment. There's a better demand for Sri Lankans in the overseas job market. The minister said that there is a lack of aircraft seating facilities today due to air travel limitations. The minister added that officials should take immediate measures to meet the need by dealing with the Sri Lankan airline and other providers, saying foreign employers are doing a major task to uplift the Sri Lankan economy. That was development news. Next, we take a look at sports news.
Sports news.
Football. The Sri Lanka football team, which will take part in the South Asia Football Championship, will leave tomorrow to Doha, Qatar for a training session of 16 weeks. 27 players and 11 from the training staff are scheduled to attend the session. The Sri Lankan team will arrive in the Maldives on the 26th to compete in the championship. Meanwhile, Sport England, Sport Wales and Sport Northern Ireland are making £6.5 million of funding available through crowdfunder aimed at helping grassroots sports clubs recover from the pandemic. The money and potential match funding is available to apply for now and is open to any non-profit clubs via crowdfunder. The £5 million crowdfunder and Sport England fund means grassroots sport clubs, charities and other community organizations delivering sport or activity as part of their work can access up to £10,000 in match funding. Well, that was sports news. Business news is up next.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's pioneer in recycled plastic products, BPPL Holdings PLC, has become the only Sri Lankan company to enter Forbes 2021 Asia's 200 Best Under a Billion list. Forbes Asia last week announced its 2020 Best Under a Billion list, which recognizes 200 top-performing publicly listed small and mid-sized companies in the Asia-Pacific region with sales under $1 billion. That was business news. Economic news is next.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
The newly established Development Coordination and Monitoring Ministry has been assigned to monitor a vast number of ongoing development activities of the government. The new ministry is held by Minister Nama Rajapaksa in addition to his sports and youth ministerial portfolios. The task of the new ministry is to coordinate all development activities and monitor projects on the direction and guidance of the President. That was economic news. Finally, a look at the weather report.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the Sabaragamuwa and Western provinces and the Kandy and Nuwara districts and also in Galle and Matara. Several spells of showers will occur in the Northwestern province. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and the Batticaloa and Ampara districts in the evening or at night. Fairly strong gusty winds can be expected in the northern and north-central provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That was a weather report. To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. The Australian High Commissioner commends Sri Lanka's vaccination program. Over 24 million have already been vaccinated against COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. A third dose of the vaccine will be given to Sri Lankan workers who will be travelling to Kuwait for employment. The Geological Survey Department and Mines Bureau says Sri Lanka has not taken any measures to export sand, and in foreign news, a report reveals a record number of environmental activists were murdered around the world in 2020. That ends tonight's news broadcast.